Hey guys, this is Chris with Intelligence Studios, and today I'm here with a mix that I've done for a band called Intervals. This is their song Ephemeral, which you can actually find online on my Bandcamp page, intelligencestudios.bandcamp.com. You can get the instrumental mix and the mix with vocals. It was a song that was originally done by, produced and mixed by Jordan Valeriot, extremely talented producer, mixer, and engineer. Um, Recently, I got access to the tracks, so what I wanted to go over today is a concept that's actually kind of near and dear to my heart. Basically, sweetening the mix using automation, and the reason I say that is because 12 years ago when I started doing mixing, that was really all I did. I didn't know about what a compressor did. I thought you slap it on, it made it louder. So a lot of my mixes were simply done by sweetening, moving automation with all the instruments in the mix to kind of pop out at certain points. And they weren't great mixes, but it was a good start and it taught me a lot. And so now I'm actually pretty quick at doing this type of move in mixing. So we're gonna show you what I'm talking about here. First of all, this is the drum stem, so these are all the drums mixed down together, bounced out into one track. And I find that sweetening that is a lot easier than trying to sweeten each part individually. That's when I'll reach for more compression, EQ, and all these tracks were recorded and compressed and EQ'd pretty fantastically. So this was a pretty easy mix. A lot of it came down to this, sweetening the automation here. So what do I mean by that? Certain parts of the song need to pop out more than others on certain instruments. So you can see here where the volume shoots up to 9.7. Here and here, those are two fills that I'm going to play. We're going to solo the drums, and I'll play a little bit of that. So you'll hear, play from about here, where it's kind of standard volume throughout the whole song, and then it'll pop out during the fills. Okay, so you can definitely hear it where it jumps out of the mix. You can actually see it over on the master fader here, how the volume jumps up a couple of decibels during that part. And you do that throughout the whole song at different points to reiterate those parts. And that's basically what automation sweetening is. And you do that with as many instruments as you need to, really. There's a lot of, with the bass guitar here, there's a lot of movement there. Times where the bass does certain fills or should stand out in a certain way or should tuck back in a certain way. It makes a big difference when certain instruments come in at certain times, even if they're not noticeable, even if it's subconscious. That's a big thing I try to remember when mixing, is that you're also mixing for people's subconsciouses. You have to be aware of how much or how little of that sound should be poking out or tucked in. So same thing with the guitar lead here. Standard volume stuff for different points to pop out and pop in. But the other thing you can do, this isn't restricted to just volume. That's where this is super important. So here I have the send, which is this bus, and the delay effect that's on it. So there's different points in the song where I needed a lot less delay, different points where I needed more delay. So I rode that automation, and it sweetens up that effect. That effect can come in and out with that lead guitar as needed. So actually, let's do that. Let's see what that does and see if we can hear that change in the delay effect. Actually, let's do it here. Okay, so that might be a little tough to hear because the way that the guitar was recorded in still has a lot of, not a lot, but some delay on it. But you can really hear, if you listen to the far sides, if you're listening in headphones, the far sides of the headphones, you can hear less of that delay spilling over when you hit this point here. And then a lot more when it comes back up to 0. So that's, and throughout the whole mix, there's reasons, obvious reasons for that. It blends in nicely when you go back and you pay attention to that detail, and you automate where you need to, and you sweeten with automation. That's the whole point of this thing. But another important part is that, for example, these rhythm guitar tracks, the way that they were recorded in, I didn't even need an EQ or really much of a compressor. The only thing I had to do was at the kind of these harsh chugging points where the bass really sticks out, I had to cut away using the C4. I did this on both tracks. Bypass the super low end, the mid, and the high, and I wanted to take where the low mids kind of fight the bass, and every time the guitar chugs, it's really heavy. It takes up a lot of bass, a lot of space where the bass would live. So I had to compress that, so that compresses down when those parts of the song hit. Let's see if we can find a spot here. Alright, so you see when it chugs, whenever the guitar chugs, it pulls back a little bit more on that low end, low mid. So it's doing that on both guitars, and with that effect, with the way it was recorded in, compressed and EQ'd, these tracks didn't really need any sweetening. They fit in the way they should in the mix. Surprisingly, actually, with some minor adjustment to the vocal as far as volume, a steady volume, the way the vocals are recorded the same with the compression and the EQ, it didn't need anything to fit in the mix, which is really kind of strange. Felt weird for vocals for me, but yeah, they didn't really need anything. The harmony, at one point, I wanted it to shoot up more than was in the original mix, because I found it to sound really good, with really one word that the guy says, the singer. sounded great, but that is what you can accomplish with sweetening of automation. And always, trust your ears and just play around with it, have fun with it, and you can make it sound really good. That's the end of the mix right there. That's kind of important too, is that usually this is kind of the last step in the mixing process, is sweetening the automation. Once you have that, and it really kind of starts to sound like an actual song, and at that point, you're kind of close to the finish line. All right, so thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.